Welcome to everybody. This is Mazarina Geopolitics. This is Stefano from Italy. Today we will have Diego from Santa Catarina, Brazil, and the focus of today will be the Brazilian general election in October 2022. So if you will have any questions about Brazilian election, everything, just ask. I will collect as usual all the questions from the public. So I will give the standard to Diego that will present a little bit himself and will tell us something about the situation in Brazil. So Diego, the stand is for you.
Hey, you guys, my name is Diego. I'm from Santa Catarina State in Brazil, southern Brazil. But now I am in São Paulo State, the biggest state and the biggest population in Brazil now. As you can see, I am inside the car because I have a little bit of traffic, so I should stop a little bit to talk to you. Introducing myself, I work in politics, especially in international relationship. This is my job. Especially now, I'm coordinating in the Brazilian Parliament. There is a parliamentary group meets between Italians and Brazilians congressmen, and then I am a kind of coordinator of this group. It's an international parliament group. I am also work as a journalist for the Italian TV, especially talking about Brazil and South America. In this special year, I was hired for Sky News, the Sky News Italia, to bring information from the Brazilian elections. That's gonna be in October 2, and then after the 2nd October, we're gonna see if we finish our election in the first round, or if you're gonna have the second round of votation. In this year, we have, as you know, Jair Bolsonaro. Jair Bolsonaro is the actual president of Brazil nowadays. We are coming for the fourth year of his charge. He, as you know, is a kind of guy that is close to Trumpism, is close to this kind of right wing, new right wing that we are having in this world. Can tell also about Italy now. With Meloni in the elections, especially because the Brazilian election and Italian election going to be quite close each other, and Italians abroad also vote. I am in South America. South America also is the biggest colony from Italians. We have only in Brazil 1 million people with two citizenship, two passports that are gonna vote as well in Italian elections. Coming back to Brazil, we have this kind of right-wing agenda worldwide, like Orban, Putin, Trump, Meloni, Le Pen in France, and this is Bolsonaro. What's going on now? We have Lula, ex-president, is the guy that governed Brazil for two charges, 8 years, and after that he placed Dilma Rousseff from the same party, the Liberals Party, Partido dos Trabalhadores, and as you know, Lula had the kind of lawfare state in Brazil that was persecuting Lula for more or less 6 years. The name of this task force that included the federal police in Brazil, the public mainstream, and also the judiciary. and they call it Lava Jato. In this case, there was one judge, a special judge, that called it Sergio Moro, and this judge was has like target to bring Lula to prison. Doesn't matter what, and this happened actually. Uh, there was, of course, corruption around a lot of parts of the Brazilian state, but this is how Latin America works. So there is no fault of Lula or his party. It's part of the political system in Brazil, and also the state system, the Brazilian state system. And after that, he really put Lula for more or less 1 year and a half into the jail, and the Supreme Court, the UN court, decided. Supreme Court Brazil decided that the UN court can make only a report showing that a lawfare situation is a persecution, political persecution to Lula. And after 1 year and a half in jail, Lula got free, and now he's running against Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro nowadays, there's nothing much to offer because the economic politics in Brazil is terrible now. We have the inflation for more than 30%. We never saw this kind of inflation in Brazil since 1994. Yes, when the new money, the new economic plan, call it real. Real is the name of the Brazilian currency. Came through, and so it started to stabilize the economic system in Brazil. So we have an economic crisis. More than 33 million people in Brazil now that cannot have all the meals, the 3 meals in Brazil. So we are talking about people starving. We came back in a situation before the 90s in Brazil. And the only agenda he is speaking is against the communism. He decide to make a combat against communism, suppose have in his mind. But the problem is 30% of Brazilian people really think like Bolsonaro. They don't care much about democracy, and Bolsonaro was a captain from Brazilian army, and he has the support. We don't know the size of the support of the Brazilian three forces to make a kind of clue. But I can tell you, maybe not in the old school coup, but to not accepting like Trump did. So is the same is the Trump school not accepting the results of the election. So nowadays I can tell about one special that happened yesterday that is making overview of the election. So we have more or less 2 months to do the election. Lula now have 47%, and Bolsonaro has more or less 34, 35. So this makes Lula president in the first round. So we don't gonna need the second round of votes. Happened that Bolsonaro started to make the same agenda of Trump, say, look, in Brazil, if you don't know, but a lot of people know that, we have electronic vote. So it's the only country, and we are a continent. We have more than 200 million people in Brazil. We can have in 5 hours all the results of the president, congressman, and whatever is the vote in that situation. So maybe it's the best system in the world. But now Bolsonaro start to say that there is a corruption in the system, and the system is corrupted to elect Lula, to elect the left wings. All the speech is against left wing communism. Look like we are um, in the 87s. And then now he's bringing the army to make the same speech. So they are bringing in Brazil. We have um, a justice only for the election. So is election justice we call here, Tribunal Superior Eleitoral, is who controlled the system, uh, make the system works, and also make the final decision to elect congressmen, the president, mayors, and all there is a justice in Brazil. So he is fighting against justice like Trump did, against the tribunals, against the Supreme Court. So is Bolsonaro against the justice, making kind of uh, something that don't respect much the democracy and the institutions in Brazil. He wants to bring down the institution that don't think like him, that don't have the same agenda of him and of his party. And now he's bringing also this military corps to improve this attack to Brazilian institutions. We're gonna see, especially in the September 7th, is the Brazilian Independence Day, and in this year special is 200 years of independence from Portugal, and should be a very huge party. And Bolsonaro wants to make this. Military parade and kind of parade, especially in Rio de Janeiro, Brasilia, and São Paulo, to start a kind of revolution like the Trumpists did in United States after the election. We are concerned about people be killed for these supporters. Happened 1 month ago, when Bolsonaro supporter came inside one birthday party from the guy, Lula supporter, and started shooting everywhere and killed the guy into his birthday party. So this is a kind of scenario of violence, and what unfortunately we are expecting, especially in the Brazilian Independence Day, such a very important date for the Brazilian history. And we are looking forward to check if the Brazilian institutions can hold on and face Bolsonaro and face his agenda. And especially, we want to see what the militaries, what our Brazilian army should do if Bolsonaro can be the winner of this election.
Diego, I just prepare like some slides for the people that is not updated about the actual polls to discuss and show with you, so you can give you your idea about it. Like this is like aggregated polls from polling data. You can find it online, but I just prepared for the people when I'm collecting the questions for you. This is updated now, so we can have like the last poll aggregated. We can see that the only two candidates that have chance to go to the final round are Bolsonaro and Lula.
There is a polarization.
Yes, but we will see later in the last in the next slides. It's interesting because there is also a very difference of voters between states and religion and whatever. So the analysis were very well made. So we see that the other candidates are all under 10%. So Ciro Gomez, Sergio Moro, João Doria, Eduardo Leite, and Simon Tebet. So the only two parties that could arrive in the end, it's like PT and PL. This is the other question about the elections. So we can see that like the unsure voters are decreasing.
The valid votes.
Yes, it's like now we're not sure. You see that it was like from in May was 50%, now it's 26%, and we can see that it's an increasing for Lula and Bolsonaro, but it's still a difference between 12%, 12 points in these questions. This was another interesting things that was about the groups that are voting more one or the other. If you can like argumentate a little bit about this, like that you have, for example, the biggest voters for Lula, for example, some more Catholicals, and Bolsonaro seems more evangelical. I didn't know before I saw like these polls. And the inner cities residents, it's more for Lula, and we will see that also those who rate Bolsonaro's government as good, 17% will vote Bolsonaro, but this part is very low. We will see that but why, for example, the Catholical votes, it's more for Lula, and evangelical, and it's more for Bolsonaro? In your opinion?
There is if you're gonna through this, we have to understand the history in Brazil. Now we have evangelicals, about 30% of the population, and this is increasing. So in 15, 20 years, we're gonna see in Brazil the evangelicals superating Catholics in Brazil. There is a trend about that. And evangelicals in 25 years ago was less than 10%. So is the population that is increasing much in Brazil. For the evangelic, we have especially the first lady. She is from the evangelic church, and they have this kind. They accept much. I don't know why this complot theory, conspiration theory, and they are. I don't know why they start to putting in their minds this kind of communism speech. So somebody will take my ham because it's communist. The left wing is communist. Never happened before in Brazil. So we have any chance to be communism in Brazil. But they start with the fake news that you usually know in your own country. I don't know where are you guys now, but in Trump's, there's a lot of fake news about I don't know, something against Hillary Clinton.
QAnon. Yes,
QAnon. Yes. So this kind of theory, I don't know why there's a clue in this population. Maybe because they I don't know, trying to find a leader. Brazil always been a Catholic country, is the biggest Catholic country in the world, actually, in population. It still is. But I don't know, is something in the another hand, what we don't understand, because Bolsonaro is a kind of psychopath. He is liberating guns. he had this gun speech like an American guy from Texas. So everybody has to have his own gun to fight against communists. Uh, so if you want to be free, you have to have your own gun. I don't know. And he is making this speech uh, totally against Christianism, good sense, inside those temples, those churches. So he has not everybody, but he has more than 50% in his pocket right now, and is the biggest base of Bolsonaro. In the other part, we have the poor people in Brazil that supports Lula, especially because Lula was very happy to introduce politicals for these people. So they have the remember of the Brazilian growing uh, 10, 15 years ago in the Lula government. Brazil actually was one of the biggest country growing in the world, to get like China. So in that time they started the BRICS, so this kind of union of the development countries. So they have this remember, and now we have poor people in Brazil without job. So we are talking about more or less 20% of the Brazilian
Employment.
people without any kind of job. And also we have the starving situation in Brazil with more than 30 million persons. It's a lot. It is one European country. So this for. But on the other hand, we have rich people supporting Bolsonaro. They are living, checking all this economic crisis. But there's a lot of people that maybe think just like Bolsonaro. We have to make analysis that maybe that kind of person will vote Bolsonaro with any scenarios just because they think like him.
About this one, this is another poll. But it's interesting. I was in Brazil when there was the presidential election in 2018. I was in Rio, and like I remember like what happened about Haddad and whatever. But if you look at this one, you can see that, for example, 84% of voters of Haddad, it's like polarized on Lula, but the former voters of Bolsonaro in 2018, only 54% will revote for Bolsonaro. So it's interesting that also one part of the voters of Bolsonaro in 2018, it's moving 24% to Lula. So this one, it's interesting. Another one that I wanted to show to you, it's mainly the same of before. It's about that their increase. The only two, let's say, candidates that are increasing the votes, potential votes, it's Lula and Bolsonaro. This one, it's like the regional breakdown. For the people that are not used to Brazil, probably like the poorest part, it's the northeast. South, it's the richest part, and we can see that like the Bolsonaro votes are more in the south and less in the northeast. So as Diego said before, like the social policy of Lula has more appeal where there is like the poorest zone. Now, if you like can agree. And this is it's interesting, so I will let you comment this one. Do you approve or disapprove the way President Jair Bolsonaro has been running the country? We can see that in the last 2 years, probably across the pandemic, because visits starting from September 2020, the disapproval increased from 48% to a peak of 64, and now it's about 59%. So the approval point, it's only 36%. It's low like Biden is now. It's very low. So it's less than 40%. what is the feeling, for example, in a rich zone about like São Paulo, about this sentiment of the people, approval, not approval of the government?
We're gonna have to check two things together here, especially because the region. We have the poorest region of Brazil with Lula, as I told you before. Um, the São Paulo state, there is more or less 23% of the Brazilian population. The second one is Minas Gerais state with 10%. So we have one tradition here. To win the presidency in Brazil, you have to win Minas Gerais. So otherwise, you can't win the presidency in Brazil. And to talk about those numbers, we have to face the consolidating votes. What is consolidating votes? In this research, they would say, look, this is your vote. How's the chance to make you vote in another candidate? Lula has more than 70% of his votes. The people that are saying, look, I will vote Lula and I won't change my vote. The percentual of Bolsonaro is 20 more than 20%, 21% less. So it's less than 50%. And we have also the rejection of people that will not vote anyway in Lula and Bolsonaro. And Lula, we are talking about 35% of the people. Bolsonaro is incredible. 48% of the population won't vote Bolsonaro in any scenario. So this shows us one polarization in Brazil is a fact, but there is an advantage of Lula in all those scenarios. To explain Southern support, we can also to come to a part of the Brazilian history that I don't like very much, but I can make this analysis with you, especially because I am Italian Brazilian. Southern Brazil is colonized by white Europeans that came to make a whitening of the Brazilian people after the slavery in Brazil, when the slavery came down in Brazil. Talking about before the 1990s, so more than 100 years ago. And my state, Santa Catarina, for example, is the biggest percentual of neo-Nazi células in Brazil. So we have, unfortunately, for the historical of Germans, Italians, an acceptance of this kind of extremely right-wing speech, and also, unfortunately, Nazi and fascism speech in southern Brazil. Is everybody? Of course not. But there's a very huge percentual. One history that I can tell you, the biggest Nazi party outside Germany during the war, the second biggest war, the World War, was in Brazil and was founded in Santa Catarina State, in Timbó City. So we unfortunately had this kind of population facing politics in that direction, unfortunately, but is a small part of the population. If you go to big centers like São Paulo, Rio, Brasilia, Belo Horizonte, now we can have a real picture of what Brazil is. So in this case, we have São Paulo with Lula leading more or less with only 2% against Bolsonaro. So we're talking about 52 against 48. So There's a polarization very huge here in Sao Paulo. In Rio, Bolsonaro is losing, and it's good to make people understand Rio is the base, the political base of Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro was congressman from Rio de Janeiro state during his
Barra,
30,
Barra.
yes, his entire life, and he's losing from Lula, and also Minas Gerais. He's losing very far away, with more than 20% in hat of Bolsonaro. So if the we can go to that tradition to be president of Brazil, you have to win in Minas Gerais state. Lula is closer to do that, to close that pool. The problem of Bolsonaro is not losing because all the numbers, of course, everything can change with Facebook, fake news. Everything can change during a campaign, an electoral campaign. But what regards Bolsonaro is he just told, he's telling about 3 years that he will not accept the results if he lost. So, and what gonna, we never faced something like that in Brazil after the redemocratization. So, what happened if one president don't accept the results of the polls? Is the army with Bolsonaro, or will the army respect the Brazilian constitution? So this is gonna be something that we gonna understand now, and during this process, unfortunately, we gonna have, because it's happening now, cases of violence between Brazilians, because Bolsonaro says in his speech, and this is for me is fascism in the pure state. He is telling about 2 years that the real enemy is not outside Brazil, is an internal enemy. So everybody that study a little bit of history understand that this kind of policy he's trying to place in Brazil, and part of the population unfortunately is following him and believing there is a fight between good and evil, and in this middle there's the evangelics supporting this.
Let me show you like this slide, and then we will move to a question. I have like two questions that I collected in advance, and others from the public now live. So we can see from this picture, from made by polls, that also the voters by age, it's very polarized. Like that the youth, it's 60% pro Lula, and more we are going to the elder people, it's going more pro Bolsonaro. So it's like the majority of the voters of Bolsonaro, it's over 45, if we can see, and under 45 you have a strictly majority of Lula. And so and also the thing that you said about the religion, it's still confirmed by this poll that the Catholics, the majority is pro Lula, and the evangelical 50% pro Bolsonaro, and like atheist 60% pro Lula. So like if you have like this sensation that the youth people, it's more pro-left, and the old people, it's more pro-right. Because in Italy now the situation is pretty different, and it's unpredictable, the votes of the youth. And in Italy, in this election of 25th of September, it will be the first time where the 18 people can vote for the Senate. Because before we had to have like we had different age for vote the House of Representatives.
So here after 16 you can vote to every charges.
No, in Italy was like 25 to the Senate, 18 to the House of Representatives. This year it will be the first year where the two
In Italy,
chambers
you
will
must to
be.
be a senior to vote to Senate.
Yeah, but there is also a main difference between be elected, because for the Senate you need to be over 40, and for House of Representatives over 18. So, so in Italy, the first time we will have the same voters for the two chambers. So it will change a lot. Nobody can predict what will happen. And in this case, for me, it's very like clear that the youth, it's like pro Lula. I saw the same situation. I was in June also in Brazil, but I was also in Colombia, where we had the same change with Petro. That was the first time that Colombia had like a left wing president. So let's see what will happen also in Brazil. About the questions, okay. Question from the public. So I will read for you. Do other candidates have a different take on BRICS and what's going on with all the narco violence? I've seen a few videos about it.
This is more Colombia. This is not Brazil, narcos violence. What we have in Brazil is social violence. So the state, when I say state, I mean police, invading poor neighborhoods, and making state violence against poor people, because in that part should be traffickants and should be traffic. But what we know and what all the specialists said, Brazil has two problems: the borders, that the army, instead to be in Brasilia making politics, should be checking to not pass the rifles, to not pass cocaine and whatever. The Brazilian drugs policy is completely crazy, like United States 50 years ago. So we have to improve to make it new, to make this a medical problem, not a police problem. So we still have to improve this police, this policy, and the real narcos are not in the poor zones of the city. They are living in the front of the sea, but they, of course, they use those communities to make the small traffic. But like Colombia, like the narcos cartel, there isn't in Brazil. Never happened in Brazil.
Next question that I collected in advance. So if the people that it's connected, if you have any other question, I'm collecting it. We will make other 15 minutes, I think, of live. So, but also if you have other question about Ukraine, geopolitics, or whatever, just ask. I will answer with Diego. About this, I collected in advance. What is the foreign policy of Brazil about the Russo-Ukrainian war? If there is any position.
Bolsonaro was with Putin 1 week before the attack. Personally, understanding the Brazilian history, the diplomacy, Brazil wins a lot not being part of the wars, and special regional conflicts or conflicts between the potentials like Russia, China, and United States. So we can condemn that, but we won't be part of no situation. Bolsonaro has a crush for Trump, and after Trump coming down, he started to be ignored by Biden. So we don't have a good relation with European Union. We don't have a good relation with Argentina, Mexico, United States, Canada. So we are isolated. Nobody wants to receive Bolsonaro. So he found a guy that received him. That was Putin. Um, Brazil is the biggest producer of grains and meat in the world, and we need a lot of products from Russia to improve, to make
Fertilizer.
our plantation, and so. But I don't like I don't like this meeting between Bolsonaro and Putin, because Putin will use that to tell inside Russia that he might not be that isolated like everybody is telling. So in the kind of thing we are supporting Putin, even if we are not doing that. So image is everything. So you can sell image. But Brazil now, between Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, is against the war, but not taking places. Just like India, just like China, and just like a lot of countries in development. We have BRICS. So you have to understand also we have this partnership. BRICS has his own bank, so we have one connected economy between BRICS as well.
Another question that it's interesting about this thing. What do you think about the hopes of Lula to see the creation of a Latin American currency in order to end dollar dependency?
No, this is never gonna happen. We You have to understand that everything about culture. Brazilian people don't think they are Latin Americans. They never. If you come to Brazil, you never gonna listen music in Spanish. We don't think we are American. We are Brazilian. We don't have this connection. We was created and grown apart of the Spanish speaker in Latin America. We can have connections, economic connections, but we never gonna be part, because the people don't want, the people don't feel like they are Latin American. We are Brazilian, and the people and the next generation will think the same thing.
Another thing that is connected to this question, when I was in Brazil, it was very interesting for me because also we had yesterday one panel about China, and where I was in every state there was this new way of transaction that maybe you can describe to the people. I
Peaks, you
remember,
mean?
yes, the pics, because like that is the same in China. We using WeChat, or when I was like in Colombia, it was the same. You can make transaction through numbers, and
Cell
if
phones, the number of your
no, but
ID.
also I was in a church in Bahia, and you can make charity to the church, and
No, you
so
can do whatever you want. You don't need a credit card anymore in Brazil. So for few things, Brazil is totally modern. Like I told you, in election, we are the only country in the world. In few hours, we have the results of the election.
results.
There is nobody in the world, especially with the size of Brazil. We are bigger than all Europe together in space. But what I can tell you is for the bank system, and I know very well the European, especially Italian bank system. We are in the future, and everything like we have peaks. Peaks was made by the Brazil Central Bank to be a kind of electronic currency. So we have real and we have peaks is the electronic real. So with peaks, we don't have to use credit card anymore. The transfer is for free, so you don't pay the transfer. I can send from my cell phone to another cell phone. I don't know, $2,000 in 1 second. so takes 1 second to arrive, and it's a very good innovation. So what I told you before, Brazil has integrated, and because we are 26 more federal districts, so 27 states in Brazil, and we integrated this very well, especially with database, with electronic bases. We can do this very well. What we are not good is to take care of people, but this is part of Brazilian history. We have to separate that, and I don't think in this my generation are gonna see something really change. Maybe I hope to do something, to see something happening, to maybe in the next generation something change, because we are a potence to feed the world. We have oil. We don't need we don't have storms like United States. We are a very rich people, talking about Amazon, talking about the nature, and we don't know how to take care of that, to make this uh, be an economy, and to make all the people to participate of the economy. Brazil had this apartheid, social apartheid, that we are not describing when you come here, but we feel that. When you told me about the narcos, that I told you never happened in Brazil, but there is a state in Brazil using the police to make the same thing that the people, the police did with the slaves, with the black slaves, people in Brazil 200 years ago. So we are repeating this in the modern century, but it's the same Brazil like 200 years ago.
Let me put like I collected last two, three fast questions so we can close before the hour of the stream. This one is like, does Brazil has the same polarization problem as in the US, for example, right versus left?
Yes, this is what I just told you. This is happening, and this is something like
And the question was made by Gonzalo Ferreira, that it's one our aficionados, but he's not Brazilian, he's from Portugal, but so it's still your cousin.
um, inside. We usually say in Brazil, if United States has a flu, uh, uh, we we can die because everything happening in the United States is a kind of something transferred.
Influencing Brazil.
Yeah, the influence in Brazil is fantastic. So the same polarization created, this is artificial created, especially in social media, Facebook, Instagram. Here we use a lot of WhatsApp. This polarization um, became like a fashion. So you have to be part of some kind of group. And when you are obligated to be part of this group, you start to act like that group. And is what's going on in Brazil. And what I see sometimes happening also in Italy. So we are importing this thing. I think this is going to take time to disappear in United States, in Brazil, and there is also we call the supporters and the movement that support Bolsonarism here. So what we discuss is Bolsonaro can go home, but the Bolsonarism will be here. So what we gonna do after Bolsonaro with this feeling, with this contamination? Inside our population. This what is what's happening in the United States post Trump. and this is also gonna happen in Brazil. What I see is family that father don't talk with the daughter, mother don't talk with the son. This is making people apart. Is sad.
I have like a last question for you, and then we can close the stream. So, what's going on with the rainforest? We have a farming debate. We see sometimes in the Western media.
If you want to tell something that you really would like to listen, I want. Rainforest, Amazon is not part of Brazilian debate. The biggest part of the people don't live in Amazon. We know Amazon like you guys do from TV. So it's not part of the real life of the Brazilian people. So in the Italian TV, they ask me the same question, and I tell you, I don't see. Maybe I hope, because this is important for me, but it's not important for everybody. So I hope someday the forest, the nature, a new way to treat the nature, because we're gonna be here for a long time. My son, my grandson, and we have to left this planet alive for the next generation. But unfortunately, this is not a discussion during the political debates, and in this year will not. Bolsonaro can bring down the forest, and nobody will talk about that inside Brazil. You're just gonna see this discussion in Europe, United States, but not here, unfortunately.
So, perfect. Diego, thank you for your time. Wait a sec, because I'm going to move. I hope that everything that we talk about was interesting for the public about the Brazilian general election. We will make maybe another fast poll stream next to the electoral debates at the last, maybe after the Italian election, after the 25th of September. So we will see the effect of the Italian election, Brazilian general election, and then in November we will have the midterm election in the USA. And so, good night to everybody. Diego, aspetta un secondo. And see you in the next stream. Ciao.
Ciao.